many people in America fear their government, and the government is being run by too many powerful agencies like the IRS and others. I think it's time the people take the country back through their representative government.
Hey, Mr. Politician, living on that hill, living in that lap of luxury, on we the people's bill. Don't have a clue how the other half lives, and that is a shame. It's time to stop the tyranny. You keep pushing through your bills. Going for revolution, going for it now. It's time to save our Constitution while we still got the guns in our hands.
Hi, welcome to Freedom TV. I'm Renee Kimball, your host, and we have a very exciting program for you today. It's kind of an idea of what mass transit could be if it weren't paid for by the government. We're going to be doing Mass Tram America, which is a revolutionary idea, very clever idea, and I think you're going to want to know a lot more about it. But first, we're going to go to a new segment that we've designed, and this one is called Why I Only Read the Blue Mountain Eagle. Now, this is a newspaper that's out of John Day in Grant County, and you might wonder, why on earth do I possibly read this newspaper? Why don't you just read the Oregonian? Well, there's lots of reasons why I don't read the Oregonian, and I'm going to tell you why. This is the some of the articles that you'll find in the Blue Mountain Eagle. It doesn't usually have rapes and murders on the front. And the top one, I don't know whether you can see it, but the first one is Blessed by Friends. And basically, what it says in that top article is, in a late January issue, there was a letter about a woman losing her wallet and all her money. A very sad story. Now I would like to tell you the rest of the story. The money was to pay her monthly bills. Within 2 days, friends and neighbors in the community had rallied together and donated enough money to replace what she had lost, plus more. My great appreciation to those of you who helped with your friendship and love, as well as money. I feel so blessed to live in a community that is so kind and caring. This is the kind of thing that is regularly in the Blue Mountain Eagle. And the top one just was a thank you and a thinking of you, Steffi Colho. It's a tall order to be a military wife, but you are a very strong person and you are blessed with a brave heart. Let us help you carry the load. With love, your friends and family. That's why I read the Blue Mountain Eagle. So go to their website, find out about this newspaper, and see if you might like this one instead of the local fish wrapper. Oops, excuse me, newspaper. Now we're going to go to our regular segment, Surviving and Thriving. And this one is going to be Chris Janowski, going back to the fellow from Alaska, and he's going to be doing Fire is Magic. So with no further ado, we'll be going to Surviving and Thriving with Chris Janowski.
As we start this fire here, let's talk a little bit about fire and how magic it is. And that's exactly what fire is. It's magic. It's a tool to do so many things. One of the tools, naturally, that everybody's familiar with is cooking. We can cook our food. We take a squirrel or a snowshoe hare or a moose or a caribou or whatever out here in a survival situation. It would be nice to be able to cook it. We can eat it raw, but it sure tastes a lot better when we got it barbecued. It'll cook our food. That's good. How about water? It'll boil our water. If we're in an area where beavers and other rodents live, very good chance there's Giardia in the water. We'll want to boil it. Fire's working for us. It's a tool. It's working for us all the time. Fire will very nicely burn this piece of wood in half, then we have 2 pieces of wood. Burn those halves in half, we got 4 pieces of wood. It's real nice. Don't kill yourself trying to cut wood, especially if you don't have any tools. You put that on there, it'll burn right in 2. It's working for us. It's acting like a saw for us right now. What else does fire do for us? It keeps us dry and warm. Safeguards against hypothermia, the #1 killer out here in the wilderness. Piece of cake, fire's still working for us, keeping us alive. And last, but not least, for sure not least, is it has a good psychological effect on us. Most important use, as far as I'm concerned, to a person that's in a serious wilderness situation is the tranquility that fire gives you. It makes you feel good. You've got something to relate to. It's something that'll calm your mind, and it's something that'll make you start thinking straight. If it happens to be cold where you are, and it's time to go to bed for the evening, it's no fun shivering all night, and there's no reason, just because you're out in the wilderness, you have to do this. Again, our fire is working for us. What I've done here, I've taken quite a few small stone here, and in the case we're actually going to use these, I'd have the whole fire surrounded with these stone, or you can even build a fire on top of the stone. But I like to surround the fire with the stone. Pile them up, whatever you want to do, is so you know you've got enough stone that you could make a mattress out of. Then what I do, I'll take the stones from this area. They're going to be very hot. You've got to be careful how you handle them. And we want to try to get something sort of even. If you've got the time and the ground dictates that you can do this, you could take a digging stick, a piece of bone like we used before, and you start digging out areas here in the ground that'll take these big stones and make them stay much flusher with the surface. And as we do that, we'll take a stone, we'll transport the stone. Again, they're going to be very hot, so you want to be careful. This takes a little while, but it's not bad. It sure is worth it when you go to sleep at night. And we take these stones, get them down there in your hole, and we'll keep doing this till we make a sleeping area that we're gonna use. The next thing that you're gonna want to do, these things are hot. You can't lay on them. You can take spruce boughs now, and you'll cover your whole mattress with lots of spruce boughs. This becomes more and more comfortable as we go along. Another thing you can do, which I do a lot of times, I'll take a big piece of muskeg, that's almost as soft as a mattress, and then I'll put the spruce boughs on top of that. I'm nice and high and dry, and there's constantly all night there's heat coming up from the stone.
Hi, welcome back, and I'm here with Ben Missle and Julie Michelson, and we're going to be talking about your favorite subject, and very much mine at the moment, Mass Tram America. Now, give me a few ideas about what this is. I saw the website, and I went, whoa, this is pretty futuristic. So tell me, what exactly is Mass Tram America?
Well, it's a new type of transportation system that'll be city to city, nationwide. And it'll be using recycled fuselages. It'll be working on solar energy. And it will not take a large imprint on the surface. And we'll be using existing right-of-ways, the existing freeways, the existing roads. So it'll be very economical to build.
And one of the things that I thought was really interesting was that it's made out of parts from something else. This is really cool. You use old airplane bodies,
yes,
for the fuselages of this transportation system.
That's right.
Excellent. Well, I don't want to keep people in the dark anymore. Let's go to some pictures about what this looks like so they can have an idea. And then we'll come back and describe everything. But people have to see these pictures. They're really amazing. So we can have the pictures up, and we'll talk about these as they come up on the screen. These are some of this is what it actually looks like. This is an amazing thing. Now, how big is this thing going to be? How big is that about?
Those are 2 fuselages that are put together, and they'll hold about 200 people.
200 people?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Wow, that's amazing. Okay, and the next one. Okay, I thought we were going to go to our slides. No, we need to go to our slides. Okay. All righty, there we go. This is the logo, Mass Tram America. Excellent. Okay, and then the next slide was, oh, here's some of the people involved in it. And this is when you were in Salem, wasn't it?
Yes, this is talking with some of the congressmen down there, and we were trying to get some of the stimulus money that they're spreading around.
Yeah,
so,
fat chance. It's something that works.
Well,
Are you kidding?
Well, we did apply, and we got accepted as our proposal got accepted.
Yeah.
But,
Well, yeah. Don't.
but there are
don't
too
hold
many
your
people.
Breath. Yeah. Don't hold your breath.
We got a hearing.
Yeah. And this is just a composite of 3 pictures that we're going to see a little bit closer later. And this again these are computer generated, right?
Yes, they are.
Okay, and these are this is what it looks like, and it's actually above the city. It's not going to be running on the ground. Cool. Okay, and the next one is a thing of the stations.
Yes.
Okay, and we have a bigger one of this later, and you're going to describe the various different parts of it. That looks really cool.
Right.
That's really futuristic looking. I love it. And here's the slide of the one that we had in big. So 200 people. Whoa, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
What does the train think about this? Oh, and this is a design, and then in this one you've got the windmills.
Yes.
And we'll talk a little bit more about how the wind energy works with this, and in combination. These are windmills here. Are these in Oregon here?
Yes, they are.
Oh, okay, so this is a wind farm here in Oregon that's actually up and running, and that gives you kind of a perspective of how big those little puppies are. They're quite big. And there's another computer generated, and those are the solar cells up on top?
Yes, solar cells,
okay.
you betcha. You
So
bet.
those are actually running in, and it's actually suspended above.
That's across the Willamette River.
Oh, that's across the
right,
Willamette River.
right.
Great. And here's a nose on view.
Yeah.
There you go. Looks really cool, though. And these are the seats?
Yes.
Now, are these actual seats? I couldn't tell from the slide. Are these the actual seats, or is this computer generated?
This is on the new 787 planes, but they'll be similar to that. And so as we update, we'll be using the newer type seats.
Right. So these are the new, newer
ones.
comfort zone seats.
Right.
All right. And this one, I think, is that Oregon in the background?
Yeah, that's the city
that's
of Portland. That's
really?
Portland, yes.
Cool.
It
So
sure
it shows you
is.
how it can look.
Yes.
Okay, and I think the next one is this
Now
one
you
is.
tell.
I thought this was real. I thought this is cool. It's already done.
Yep.
Excellent. So it gives people the perspective of what it's going to look like if it were built over the city. And the last one here is the engine. This is actually the engine. Can you describe a little bit about what is this one? I mean, I looked at it and I went, "This is an engine."
Yeah, this is a vertical wind turbine, and this particular one has photovoltaic cells that are on the outside of it, so that increases the energy efficiency of it by 40% or so.
Wow.
And we don't have some of the problem that you hear with the bladed ones, where there's some controversy about that with the bats and a little noise and stuff. But there's no noise with this, and there's no environmental thing, and they look attractive. They're a lot better.
Amazing. When I looked at it, I couldn't believe it was an engine. I looked at it and went, how does this work as an engine? It's like, this is kind of like a helix spiral here. How does this work?
It generates electricity as it spins around. It generates electricity, and also the photovoltaic cells. There's a new technology they have that doesn't matter where the light shines, the photovoltaic cells still work. So that generates a lot more electricity. See, so that helps power charge the batteries that are in the stations, and then when the tram goes in the station, they automatically lock on with the new batteries that they have. They'll recharge in 10 minutes, and there's some new ones coming out that'll recharge within just a few minutes. See?
Wow.
So while they're unloading the passengers, the batteries are automatically charged. See,
right.
All the energy is stored in the transfer center, so when they come in, they unload people, that they just recharge there.
Right. Excellent.
I came aboard because Ben's design does incorporate renewable energy
Right.
and emerging technology, as you can see.
Yeah, absolutely.
To provide the power in a clean and sustainable way.
Right.
Without any use for drilling, refueling in the traditional way, or burning anything, unless we might at some point choose to do specialized kind of hydrogen or a fuel cell in the future. There are electric motors that are running on the cable and rail that are powered by the renewable energy.
So the renewable energy from the solar and from the wind is actually powering the electric motors.
Yes.
Cool.
And providing a source of revenue for the tram and a
Well,
funding
hopefully
vehicle.
if the city ever agrees to let you to actually buy it back for real instead of just kind of talking about it. Now we've got some big graphics that you're going to use the laser pointer on.
Yes.
So if we can have those up on the screen, and then Ben, if you could just point out some of the details on this one.
Okay, well, up here we have a solar panel. This is a smaller one.
Right.
And then we have the tower here, and these towers can be designed in different ways. And then on the back one here, we have a wind turbine. You know, it's one of the older styles.
Right,
and
so that's actually at the top of the whole facility.
Some areas are not good for wind, but some are. If we're like on the coast or wherever, there'll be a lot more wind, but there can be a combination.
Right.
The solar works just about any place.
And that's the two fuselages put together. You can see the joint in the center there. That's amazing.
The reason we use these fuselages is because once the airlines, they're decommissioned, there's not much else you can do with except scrap them. And so we get them at a very reasonable value. And there's getting to be a lot more of them because some of the airlines are cutting back, and they're getting for the more fuel-efficient planes. So there's going to be a lot more available. But our whole system is suspended on a cable type, suspension cable type system. And the cable is the one that holds up a single rail, and the motors and the wheels are on both sides of this here track.
Right.
And so the reason for using the suspension cable is because of earthquakes or anything like this here. It's very economical to build. It's quick to build, and during earthquakes, there's very little chance of falling down.
Oh,
like
okay.
the Bay
Great.
Bridge.
Well, tell us a little. We're going to come back to us, and then they'll give them a chance to change it, and we can actually have the larger section of the station. But in the meantime, tell us a little bit about why did you guys get involved in this? I mean, isn't light rail good enough for you?
Well, Ben is the designer, and he is a multi-systems kind of an engineer, and from his early career on at Boeing many years ago. And he's a person who creates solutions and does the work to deliver them. He also formerly owned Oregon Trailer, which built freight delivery vehicles.
So you used to deliver in freight.
Yeah, and over 10 years had manufacturing, freight solutions.
Right.
Over 1,000 of those trailers were out on the road. Many of them probably are still rolling. And he just can't stop providing solutions because when he sees the problems.
Notice this. Really.
And Ben might like to describe what problems he meant to address and how it came to him.
What is that? What is it that you think really needs to be addressed here? Because, all right, there's light rail.
Yeah, well,
at $20 a ride, admittedly, but you know,
when I used to work at Boeing, I worked at their developmental plant up there, and then when they let out 3,000 people, it took us a half an hour, 45 minutes just to get out of the parking lot. So I said, you know, there's got to be some better ways. So the traffic congestion is the real problem here. And so this is all suspended above the traffic, so we eliminate that problem. Now, safety-wise, the trams have the best safety record. Monorails have the second best safety record. So we're sort of a combination in between there. And so it's going to be very safe and, you know, very efficient and very comfortable and quiet.
And quiet. That'd
Yes.
be kind of nice.
And what a view.
Yeah, and what a view, really. Okay, this is the second one that we have, the picture of the actual transit station as it might look. And that's, now this is multi-level?
Yes, yes, it is. It depends on the area that you're at and what obstructions that we have to go. It'll be probably at least 50 feet, probably to as high as 100 feet or so. But people, when they want to ride it, or they can come in here, they can park, plug in their electric vehicle or hybrid, and then go up the elevator, get on the tram, and then go wherever they want to go. They can go in either direction, just walk. And on top here, across the roads or freeways or whichever there may be, there'll be restaurants and coffee shops and bookstores and, you know,
So it'll be like a little shopping
mini
mall.
Yes.
Yeah, sort of like a little mini mall.
Then on top there'll be photovoltaic panels, and then if it's you know available to put, you know, turbines and that on it too. So
Right. So it's kind of an all-inclusive
yes.
unit of, you know, renewable energy and transportation at the same time. Now, we've got just about 3 minutes before we have to go to a little break, but tell us a little bit about what's the first part that you mentioned was from city to city, rather than like what the tram is doing here, not just the tram, but the light rail. They're going within the city, and probably not too smartly, seeing as how most of them are right next to freeways, which is kind of insane. But this idea is to like be in place of the train. Is that the idea?
Well, it will complement the train. Like Amtrak has a lot of problems, you know, just recently here, you know, with the freeways were flooded, they couldn't travel, and when it's icy or snow and flood, landslides, so they're pretty much out of commission.
They're pretty much out of commission, you're right.
So Amtrak has closed a lot of routes. We will complement them, and probably eventually, you know, this may replace most of Amtrak.
The passenger part of it.
The passenger part, yes.
Yeah.
Because
but I like the train.
but they have to use, see, the train companies don't like passengers, they don't really lose money on them.
Yeah.
So they're trying to figure out some way to get rid of the passenger traffic. So the Amtrak and stuff, they have to lease the lines from the railroads. See. So,
I see.
So this will put us separately. You know, we may use some of the routes to be over the train tracks. You know, we're looking at some right now.
Right.
And so it'll be a completely separate thing. They'll be able to travel from coast to coast on one tram. There'll be sleeper cars. There'll be dining cars. You know, you can do your homework. And just recently they were talking about, you know, the population is supposed to double here in this area. Well, they were talking about where we're going to put all the people. See, well, with this system here, they'll be able to live in Olympia and then work in Portland, and so they'll be able to commute a lot more simpler.
Provided they don't destroy the economy entirely. No.
Well, this will help the economy.
We might possibly double our. At the rate we're going, I don't know. It's kind of iffy out there for the moment. So the idea would be like from major city to major city, say from Olympia to Portland, and then say from Portland to Eugene. I know there's a lot of people who work in Eugene and Salem.
Eventually, all the cities, see, some of the cities do not have access to the airports, and so even some of the fairly decent-sized cities. See, so this would give access to every city in the site eventually when it's completed.
Excellent. We're going to take a short break, and then we're going to come back. Right now, we're going to go to a guest who was on the show, Judith Golden. She travels in Southeast Asia, and this is called Cambodian water wells. She helps set these up, and you're going to find this very interesting. So this is Judith Golden, Earth Magic Tours, and Cambodian water wells. Welcome back, and we're here with Ben and Julie, and we're talking about Mass Tram America, kind of a revolutionary idea about how to get around from city to city that's above it all. Let's put it that way. It's top flight. Now, we were talking about some awards that you guys have gotten, not some awards, I'm sorry, some publicity in magazines, and Julie had this magazine, Plenty. This is an international magazine out of New York.
Yes, this is one of several magazines that have featured Ben Missler's Tram, Mass Tram America's city-to-city solution, run on clean power. Plenty magazine is out of New York City.
Right.
So sustainability professionals and advocates all around the world know about Ben's Tram, and
Excellent.
we're only just beginning to introduce it in our own state.
Really? And then if you want to show us the article, I thought it was a pretty splashy article.
They gave him a
Look at
nice
that.
centerfold.
Yeah, excellent. A centerfold.
And
there you go.
You can see an artist's
Excellent.
rendition
Excellent. Yeah.
of the way the tram could look, and it does include the wind towers.
Excellent.
It's
Yeah.
a nice write-up, lots of detail.
Now, where are some of the other people from? The U.S. isn't climbing on board, but it seems like everybody else is.
Well, it's still early.
Yeah, that's true. What's other countries did you say?
Well, we had a delegation come out from Vietnam. They were very serious, one of
Really?
the largest
Wow.
builders over there, and both Julie and I were there, and they were very, very impressed with it. And over there, they don't have much of an infrastructure, and
No.
they're a lot of hilly, and they got a lot of room. So this, in order to put freeways and systems in over there, it'd be very costly for them.
Right.
But this here system could
Just
be
goes right above it
go
all.
right above it, and it wouldn't tear up the environment,
Right.
and the land that much.
I think you said you had some people over from Russia. They were-
We had some inquiries from
Whoa,
Russia. Yes,
hey.
if you've ever seen their freeways over there,
Yeah,
they
I
are
can imagine.
terrible, and they need something like this here.
Yeah.
Especially the one going to Siberia. It is a mess.
And
Yeah.
there's been some interest from Canada, from Dubai.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in the Vietnam project, partly because
Wow.
when the delta's flooded,
Hello.
business and tourism, and from city to city, millions of people can still get around
Right.
without having to bulldoze
Excellent.
roads, and it's just way too expensive to do roads and bridges in the
Especially if
traditional
they
way.
kind of get washed out every
Yeah.
spring.
Yeah, and those of us from Oregon could visit Vietnam and other places and see the beauty of the country with
Right.
intact farming, and without the heavy impact of development.
Right.
And but the tram can carry millions of people from city to city,
Right.
without doing the heavy burden of what the roads cost, what traditional rail costs, the other kinds of monorails, cheaper than roads and rail, and that we'd like to
Right.
prove it.
Excellent. Now, Ben, one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the cost of this kind of development. What are we kind of looking at here? What kind of
Well-
figures are we sort of looking at as far as developing this?
We're looking at, depending on how many transfer stations you will have and how many cars we will have, but we're looking at probably about 20% of the cost of any other system.
Really?
So it's a substantial saving, and that was one of the reasons that we use a suspension cable. We don't have to put as many towers as, like
Right.
in monorails and like.
So let me see if I've got this right. The cables suspend the rail
Yes.
itself.
Yes.
So, and how, well, the obvious question, what about wind? How does this work in the wind? It's like, I don't want to be doing this in the
well,
rail car.
Right. Since the trams are streamlined, there's very little problem with the wind. I mean, unless you have a hurricane. But you take the OSU tram, they stop that at 50 miles an hour.
Yeah.
Not because it's unsafe, because it makes the passengers sick. Now that is
God.
suspended, a very small one. It holds 70 people, but it's a small one. And but our system is of course a lot bigger and a lot heavier. And if at 50 miles an hour wind, you probably never even notice the difference. And we got some other things in it that'll be stabilizing it.
a little
Yes,
bit.
yes.
Right, so it's actually the cable's holding a solid rail.
Yes.
So it's actually running on a solid rail,
Yeah.
like a monorail. I know I lived in Sydney for a while, and they've got a monorail in the entire area of downtown, which was quite controversial because it sort of went by all these historic buildings and looked really bad. But it's the same idea, but rather than being from a fixed structure,
Right.
it's actually hanging down with cables.
Right.
Oh, I see. Very unique.
And the
Very interesting.
suspension cables have been around for, for 70 years. The Brooklyn Bridge has been there for 100 years.
Yeah.
And they're just now thinking about, well, maybe we should check it and make sure it's not going to fall down, to some of these other roads that
Might
fall
be nice.
down. Yeah. But the Bay Bridge down there, it's designed to sway at 40 feet in each direction.
Really?
And during all the earthquakes and everything that they had down there, all the other roads were down, but the Bay Bridge opened up 3 days after the earthquake, that major earthquake.
So
they
this
had.
concept is not really a new concept.
No.
It's just being taken from bridge to transportation system. I see.
Right. Everything is off the shelf. We can start building this tomorrow.
Excellent. Amazing.
Yeah, Ben has made contact with many of the potential suppliers, and they're eager to provide, from the electric motors to wind tower companies, and many of these have had layoffs and cutbacks recently, and we would really love to help put these companies to work.
And at 20% of the cost of something like light rail,
Yes.
which is like, hello, it's on rails, it's on the ground, can't be moved. And it sounds like that you could move this a lot more easily than you could rails on the ground. I mean, yeah, it's expensive to move the towers and move the rails, but it's possible. Whereas once you plunk down the rails, you're kind of,
Right.
that's it.
That's
You're
right.
done.
That's right.
Yeah, the future of city-to-city transportation in the U.S. This year, policy at the federal level has just shifted this way, is high-speed rail. And many people have been following the California line from Sacramento to San Diego and that discussion. Well, it seems very unlikely they're going to be able to bulldoze on the land 50 feet across all the way through California.
Yeah.
Ben's solution could so elegantly meet that demand.
Right.
And the decisions have been made, we're going to do it somehow, but they don't know how on the land.
Right.
And in fact, nationwide, 11 high-speed transit corridors, high-speed rail corridors have been identified. And it's a new instruction, basically, to the United States Department of Transportation to prioritize finding a way to do this. And the nation's highway engineers have been told, and the drivers out there, people who drive cars, better listen up. The nation's highway engineers have been told it's toll roads or no roads in terms of highway design.
Right.
If any new roads are built, they're toll roads in order because the gas tax is not currently covering even half of what the community's needs are
Well, if they
for existing infrastructure.
They'd stop stealing the money, maybe it would.
So Ben's solution is so needed
Yeah.
and can be built faster and less expensively and
Now,
is weatherproof compared to
What's
the
the
others.
footprint of one of the towers? How much of an area does one of the towers take up?
The towers are about approximately 15 to 20 feet where they're implanted in the ground, and so
Really?
like most of the freeways, there's a medium that it can be done.
Yeah.
And where there isn't, where the roads are too narrow, then it can be like an arch over from the side right away. See, so they'll still be suspended, and they won't take any additional real estate. See, we don't want to take real estate off of the tax rolls,
Right.
And if you can say, well, where population going to double, it means the traffic's going to double. What are we going to do? Build more freeways, more roads?
And that's and the thing that really interests me is that in the concept that they have about we have to restrict road transportation, they've just kind of completely eliminated the possibility of these kinds of things happening, which to me is insane. It's like, we're going to limit you now because in the future there's not going to be anything else except roads, so now we have to make everybody really uncomfortable on the roads and we have to shove everybody into these little trams. And it's like, excuse me, there might be some other ideas that come along like this one.
Yes.
So now, how long have you been working on this? How long has this been going on?
Well, I for quite some time, in 2004, I entered the design contest that NASA and Emirates Designs had, but they had first option on it, so I couldn't make it public at that time. And then I entered it in 2005, and then I did get merit prizes, but the project was a little bit too big. It's an $800 billion project, and that was a little bit too much for them. So
yeah, I think.
So then in 2006, I started making it public, and that's what we're doing now.
And this is being offered to the public.
Yes, it is. It's a public.
Right.
It's a corporation. There's stock available, and it's a people's project. And the public, public can get involved in it.
Right.
Yeah, Ben's ready to create some green jobs. This is a sustainability project, and they'll be well-paid jobs. Designers, transportation planners,
Right.
community development, people that help
Yeah.
incorporate the ideas and the designs from the communities. What their
Yeah.
the landings, the transfer stations can help local dreams and aspirations happen.
Right.
And the transfer stations will look different in every community, probably to help meet the aspirations of that community. So
Right,
these,
so
these are
that
good
it
green
isn't sort of
jobs,
a
and Ben's ready to hire now.
Right, and it's not a one-size-fits-all for every community. It has a little bit of
Yeah.
a bit of wiggle room
Yeah.
in how you're going to be designing it. And the neat thing is that it employs jobs that are not just service jobs, because a
Yes.
lot of the things that I see coming down the track is, well, that's nice, that's a good service job, but you know, if everybody in the United States is doing a service job, could you please explain to me who's going to have the jobs to pay for the service jobs?
Right.
You know.
Yeah, we're aiming at family wage jobs,
Right. Yep.
and helping the Teamsters deliver on their contracts, and helping other industries and businesses that face severe winter weather issues, help them deliver on their customer orders and contracts.
Right.
While it's radically new and somewhat revolutionary, we don't intend to step in and try to become the new monopoly and just steal business from everyone else.
Right.
We're here to meet needs and provide solutions, and
Right.
hopefully on a global scale.
And for me, it really boils down to, what do the people want, not what do we have to give them, because we've decided what's fair. I've decided outside the box here what's fair for everybody else. And I can hear phones ringing, so I know that there's lots of questions. We're going to let you guys ask some questions in the next segment. So wait a few minutes, just a little bit more time, and then you can ask all your questions. But I wanted to ask one more question of you. The idea is to start in like one state and then move out, or start in various states and connect?
It would be a bit like they built a freeway system. See, once we developed the prototype and we got the template built, it can be built clean across the country at the same time, you know, and
Right.
then they will eventually interconnect.
Right.
Just like the freeways did.
And so it's basically getting people on board
That's right.
who are interested in funding this. Because
Yes.
to me, all right, it's a commercial venture. I don't have a real big problem with commercial. My shoes are commercial. Everything in my house was bought at a store. Hello. You
Right.
know? So, you know, that's how people earn a living.
You could take like private enterprise like T. Boone Pickens. He's building his own wind farm with his own money.
Yeah,
And he's putting
exactly.
$12 billion of his own money. Well, this is basically a elongated wind farm. So the wind turbines themselves are self-financeable, see.
And this is what we're going to, I'm sure people are going to ask questions about this.
Right.
We're going to take a short break, and we're going to go to an organization that is near and dear to my heart, because it educates children with tax dollars that we spend, that get taxed ahead of time. But donating to Children's Scholarship Fund is an interesting concept. So have a look at this, because I think you'll find this is very interesting. I'm not a real fan of Walmart, never shop there. However, for every dollar that's donated to the Children's Scholarship Fund, the Walton Foundation actually donates $1 too. So this is an interesting way to get a good bang for your buck. So let's go to Children's Scholarship Fund.
It began as a local program in our nation's capital. In the fall of 1997, a man with a quarter-century commitment to helping children in need, Wall Street entrepreneur Ted Forstmann and John Walton, announced they would provide scholarships so 1,000 Washington school children could attend school of their choice. When over 8,000 applications rushed in for the 1,000 available scholarships, Ted Forstmann saw America's need for educational choice.
Poor kids have a very rough deal with respect to education because the system really isn't working.
We simply as a country cannot afford to split our country into haves and have-nots.
The Children's Scholarship Fund was created
to help low-income families send their children to private or parochial schools.
The new program is being funded by a lot of private money.
An experimental program to challenge public education.
It's the latest example of a commitment to those who need help most.
The goal should be to educate the public.
It really is extraordinary that you and Mr. Walton would take $100 million of your own money.
Seemed a little weird, you know. This old white fella's coming around talking about he want to give some money to some inner city children. What's this man thinking about?
That you want to deprive Negro child, we know.
What do you get back from it?
As you save a life, you save the world.
It's much more than an investment in money. It is an investment in taking a risk and a chance on competition in education.
An investment in a child has a guaranteed return.
There has to be an alternative if you don't have money. Sure, if you got money, you can buy yourself out, you can go to private school, but we have to do something for all of those that don't have the money.
I see this as giving poor people an opportunity to participate where they historically have been excluded.
Order, decency, hard work, fairness, all the things that would make public education work.
The Children's Scholarship Fund is giving children a chance and giving families a choice.
Gives them the choice that so many Americans have.
I think that these scholarships are going to be of great assistance to a lot of people.
I'm interested in getting to a position quickly where every single child in this country has an equal opportunity at a decent education.
When I wake up in the morning, love,
when I grow up, I want to be a doctor.
And my heart is filled with pain.
I want to be a teacher.
Smile I had up on my face is gone.
A lawyer.
Can't see the sunshine from the rain.
Scientist.
When I think of you,
children should not have to go to school in fear. Will my book bag be taken?
then the world's all right with me.
I didn't like it. The church was picked by the system.
No, it's just one thought of you.
She was floundering, and she was losing.
And I know it's gonna be.
We sacrificed a little bit, and we just transferred them to private school.
Lovely day, lovely day, lovely day, lovely day.
The scholarship is the very best choice I have ever made.
They're pushed, they're motivated by their teachers, by their peers.
When it comes to the education of our children, we have to be the best consumers.
Children deserve the best. They deserve the best. Not mediocre. They deserve the best.
Welcome back to Freedom TV. We're talking about Mass Tram America, and now you do have an opportunity to give us a call, and we'll answer any questions that you have about Mass Tram America. I love the name. Who came up with the name? Oh, Mass Tram. Oh, it's very, visceral. Mass Tram America.
Okay.
Let's see, MTA. Oh, no.
That sounds too metro.
No. Okay.
Well,
I think that's been done in Washington, D.C. as well.
Yeah. Metropolitan Transit Authority.
Yeah.
I think it's Chicago, isn't it? MTA? Maybe it's Massachusetts, the MTA.
Right.
So how long have you been working on this, Ben? I mean, seriously.
Seriously, probably since 2004.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it would have been much longer. But
well, I actually, started putting things together, back when I was working at Boeing there in the late '60s, But I just, start putting everything together in pieces, and I kept coming up with different ideas, and so, it was in 2004 is when I actually, really put it all together.
Put it all together and had all the designs done and showed everybody. So now, how many people are working on this now?
Oh, we probably get about probably 6 or 7 probably right now, or more, a little more than that.
So,
probably, and some volunteers and stuff like that. And then,
we could use a team of 50, but
we need a lot more.
Early proponents are faithful lot.
Well, that's part of it.
We got several companies that were contracted, like Emirates International. They've agreed to haul the fuselages, and then we work with Evergreen Aviation. They have some of the decommissioned airlines, and then Pioneer Industries, who does a lot of work for Boeing.
Excellent. Okay, we have a caller. Do you have a question for Ben or Julie?
Well, I had an insight. My name is Barrett. I live in Portland. Been here most of my life. This morning on the C-SPAN, Obama was, I don't know if it was live or if it was recorded from Friday, but he says, we can't let our auto industry go. We bailed out the banks, billions and trillions or whatever.
Right. Barrett, do you have a question
here's
for them?
my idea.
Uh-huh.
If they didn't do that and they put and subsidized us and started serving we the people, they could put solar panels on all the roofs of all the people's houses, the ones that turn with the sun and everything else. There's all kinds of technology out there, and solar panels are getting cheaper. And I don't see, and plus we could take the dam down so the salmon could come back and the
Right.
You know,
Well, Ben, I hate to
felines.
interrupt you, Barrett, but we're talking about Mass Tram America, and the unique thing about Mass Tram America is that it's not being funded by public dollars, and that's the thing, is that all of the money. I hope people understand that all of the money that Mr. Obama is talking about is all stolen money, folks. I hate to be the one to tell you this. We do have another call. Do you have a question for Julie or Ben?
Well, first of all, my name is Charles Nerin. I am the international liaison for Mass Tram America. And
hi, Charles.
Hi, how are you? Is this Renee?
Yes, you chickened out on us today.
Thank you. Hello, Ben. Hello, Julie.
He couldn't make it.
Well, I'm excited to hear that Mass Tram has been invited to be on the shows, and I just want to be very proud to be a part of it. And I just want to share with you that in the past, we've invited Asian delegations, business delegations, particularly from Vietnam, to the Mass Tram office, and to present them the Mass Tram project, and they were very excited and thrilled, and they would love to have this project someday, to have a Mass Tram be deployed in that part of the world. And so I just want to share with you.
Well, thank you, Charles. I really appreciate your calling in. And we do have another question from a caller, but I do want to thank you for calling in. And we did talk about a little bit about the delegation from Vietnam. But again, thank you very much for joining us. And hopefully we'll have you both in here. Oh, we do have another call. Do you have a question for Ben and Julie?
Yes, I do. I see that your project uses both wind and solar power. Is there any possibility that you can create enough power with that to return some of that electricity back to the public grid?
Certainly. The cost of us transporting passengers would be less than 1 cent per passenger mile. So that means that if we were to go to Seattle from here, it would only cost us less than $2 if we had to buy the power. But since we're providing all our own power, we'll have ample surplus of power to sell to put right into the grid, and this will get out to wherever it is needed, and so they don't have to build another infrastructure national grid.
Right. The only problem is right now they're not buying. So first we have to sort of talk them into, hey, how about buying the electricity back? In fact, there was a proposal to do this, only they knocked it back because it looked like they might be losing some money. So that's the first step. We have to talk them into actually getting on board with that idea, because there are people who are generating electricity. We have just a couple minutes, and I think we've got another call. Do you have a question for Julie?
I was wondering what it sounds like it runs fairly quickly. What would be the speed between, say, Eugene and Portland, which is about 100 miles, and also what about the viability of private corporations building this, and what could they charge if you run the numbers on that per ride?
On express route, we could go about 150, 200, up to 250 miles an hour. But of course,
really?
Yeah, depending on, that's what it's designed for.
Wow.
But it would depend on how many stops on the express route. It would only take about a half an hour. Now naturally, if we have to make stops in between, it's going to take a little longer. But the way you do that is you have certain trams that stop at only certain locations, so you only have to make half of the stops. So this can all be worked out, and it'd be as quickly as possible. And safety-wise, we'll be working with the government, and like I say before, the trams have the best safety record of any transportation system, and the monorails have the second best. So we're dealing, and we have redundant safety systems. In these here wheels that we use, there'll be duplicate sets of wheels in there, so if something should happen to one, it would be taken care of. And there are new technologies coming out with monitoring devices that if anything should happen or anything that should get out of not the way it's supposed to be, it would be detected immediately, and then it could be just stopped or taken off of the record. And being that there's tracks on both sides, there's no chance of any side collisions or anything like this here, and there'd be to save redundant safety things for frontwards and backwards.
Right. Now I think you also, hate to tell you, I'm going to cough. Had to do that. Also, what would be like the cost if a private organization, we've got about 2.5 minutes, so we're going to have to wrap up very quickly, but what about the cost of something like this, like a per ride cost? Have you kind of done any working as to what it would cost if a private organization bought this and said, say I want to go from here to Eugene?
We anticipate it'd be less than what Amtrak's fees are.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
On any kind of basis, because we basically don't have to pay for the energy at all. It would just for the maintenance and for the infrastructure.
Right.
I would like to respond to briefly to the caller's other question. If you happen to know businesses or transportation planners who are ready to build this tram or would like a chance at it, have them go to masstramamerica.com and contact Ben Missler as soon as possible. He's open and available for partnerships and the plan on who exactly builds it. Working with Ben in design, engineering, and consulting. That can vary greatly. And if some of you already have contacts with Barack Obama's office and in some of the senators' offices who are still yet to hear, or with the International Agency for Development, we could be building this in 30 countries at once very quickly once the proof is in their hands and they understand the difference in terms of the costs.
But contact the businesses first, because they're the early adopters, and they actually come up with the money. They don't promise you yesterday's money. That's part of the problem with relying on things like the light rail, and unfortunately, that's not going to be solving our problems in the near future. But I do want to invite you for. Invite you? No. I want to thank you for being on the show, both of you. I really appreciate you coming and sharing a really unique concept in mass transit, mass tram. So it's a tram that's a mass transit that uses used airplanes and renewable energy. What more could you ask for? This is, an environmentalist dream. So again, thank you very much for being on the program, and I'll look forward to hearing about you guys in the future. So
thanks,
keep up the good work.
Appreciate your help.
And thank you for joining us on Freedom TV. We're going to have an interesting show for you next week. We're going to be talking about the Tax Day Tea Party. So join us on the 15th for that, but next Sunday on the 12th. See you later.
I cry for my country, for the pain that it's been through. She's been made to suffer for the profit of a few. Storm clouds are forming, winds of change now touch our shores. Our here forefathers are crying as the dream's been crucified. America, I show my love for thee with strength and loyalty. America, I show